What do you think is the most interesting psychology phenomenon? I'm amazed at the number of people who freeze in a disastrous situation like a sinking ship. People who survive tragedies like that always report that there's not nearly the amount of panic and confusion that you'd expect. A lot of people freeze in place and simply can't move, even as the water is rising around them. Families have been split up in situations like this, where two of them can move, but the other three can't. Sank a boat once with some friends in about 8 feet of water. Most of us started swimming for the riverbank, about 20 feet away, but I heard splashing. I looked back and my friend, who is a very capable swimmer, was splashing around looking helpless. I reached over and pulled him up by his collar, at which point he sort of snapped out of it and said, "Thanks man, I'm good." So bizarre. The water wasn't even that cold, it was early September. I figure he was just panicking and couldn't think enough to remember that he knows how to swim. We tend to hate people that have the same flaws and make the same mistakes as we do. When I drive, I hate cyclists. When I'm on my bike, I hate drivers. I hate both all the time. How I can have a surprise in my dream. Like something will happen and I'll be confused about it, then someone will explain it by giving new information, and then it makes sense. But all of this is created by my own brain while I'm dreaming. How can I reveal new information to myself to explain something? This also fascinates me. My brain has created things in my dreams that baffles me to this day, but isn't my brain supposed to be me? So where are these creations coming from? I have a roommate that never really opens their door and I've only caught the briefest of glances into their room as he exits it. So I had no real idea what their room looked like. One night though I had a dream and my mind decided to stitch all these memory fragments together and recreated his room in my dream. Then when a couple days later I actually stepped into his room for the first time to check something out for him, it felt like I'd been there before and my brain made a pretty accurate full representation. It felt crazy. For me, in my dream, I mixed and matched some stuff to do some cooking and in my dream it actually tasted good. When I tried it 'cause why not, it was actually good. Almost the same taste as well. I never did anything like that before though and don't think I ever saw any recipe that looked like it. Well, what did you cook? I'm curious now lol. Took sugar, about 2 tablespoons of it, put some honey, a lot of barbecue sauce, some black pepper optional, a bit of hot water to mix it apple together smoothly. Dipped pork chops in it and put it in the oven on aluminum foil. Turned it around each 15 minutes and sprinkling some of 5 remaining sauce on it each time until it is cooked. Edit, Mins. Now I want to try some dreamy pork chops. False memories. How you can implant false memories in someone over time. And they believe they are real and their reactions are based on their own reality. Edit, thank you guys for all the amazing responses. I know the Mandela effect, but I wanted to bring up that this happens on an individual level too. Not just groups of people. Also, I have not seen the movie Inceptions. I don't watch a lot of movies and don't have Netflix, Hulu, or things like that. Or a TV. Edit 2. Thank you guys for showing me many more phenomenal information about memory. I had no clue. My own personal experience with this. When I was 9 years old, I was hospitalized with severe asthma that nearly killed. Blood oxygen level was 62. The entire hospital stay was such a blur because my brain was not functioning properly. Both my parents were in custody battles and tried to convince me the other parent never once stepped into my hospital room. The last time I spoke with my mother. About a decade. I am sure she would still say my father never visited me. Luckily my grandma, the voice of reason and sanity in my childhood, simply said to me, "They both visited you, they are both telling you lies." This is actually a real problem when trying to solve bad traffic accidents. When people are in shock, even the questions by the police can make them think that something happened. That's why eyewitness testimony is unreliable unless there are 2 or more corroborating witnesses. Still not super reliable, especially if they had time to chat, but much better. Oh damn, I need to remember this for when the kids at my job get in fights. If I didn't see it happen, I always question them and the kids who saw it, but I never think to separate them all until I get their story. The placebo effect. The idea that belief in something can actually have a positive impact on the body just seems so crazy to me. Also helped me realize inversely why stress and anxiety can take such a toll on you. Funny enough, placebo also works, when you know it's placebo. Somehow, deep down, there is something in you that wants to believe despite all reasonable arguments against it. Also, nocebo is a thing. When you expect something to harm you, it will. It makes a lot of treatments complicated. On one hand, you want the patient aware of the side effects, on the other, you don't want them to generate them by the nocebo effect. Also, nocebo is a thing. When you expect something to harm you, it will. Parenting 101. If you don't freak out about it, your toddler is indestructible. And here in puppet version, I.read it. If you get yourself to be really happy and excited to see other people, they will react the same to you. It doesn't always happen the first time, but it will definitely happen next time. Time and again, this has always worked fine for me. How do you do that? Just act like a dog. Dogs are always excited to see people. So wag my butt and lick their face? If that doesn't work, try wagging your face and lick their butt. Dreaming. Even though everyone does it, it's amazing that our minds create virtual realities for us nightly. If you can lucid dream, it can be more entertaining than any game technology has invented. Playing. When two animals play with each other, they both communicate aggression, they show fangs, claws, they bite, they go for the neck, etc. Everything about it should communicate danger, but they never feel endangered, even when one animal accidentally hurts another. This happens even when animals are playing with animals they have barely known for some time. It blows my mind how the right context completely transforms all the communication between animals who play. My understanding is that dogs have little pauses throughout a play fight that confirms it's just playing. And that dogs get so riled up when humans play fight because they sometimes can't tell when it's for real. Dog's posture tells the other dog it's playing too. Front paws out in front, butt up in the air, head down. Edit, yes. Face down, ass up. Next person who makes this joke is catching these hands. This, and other things, such as tail wagging. Dogs with their tails tucked, ears back, excessively drooling or continuously licking their lips are anxious and/or don't want to play. Dogs that stare in a dominant posture are not only saying they don't want to play, but that they also mean business. Sadly, not all dog owners know this or can recognize it. So, I've seen people freak out that a dog growled at their dog, while its posture indicates it wants to play, while being ignorant to the fact that their dog is being bullied just because it doesn't sound too rough. Also, yawning. Ears back and yawning, even with small tail thumps, is a stress response and a polite request to leave me the F alone. Déjà vu. To have such a strong feeling that an instance has happened before is crazy. Like you experienced it in the past, or dreamed of it. The other vus are fascinating too. Presque vu is when something is on the tip of your tongue but you can't remember it. Jamais vu is when something familiar seems unfamiliar. It's the opposite of déjà vu. Don't forget dormez vous. When you think Brother John is sleeping, but he is not. Denial. The many answers to evade the truth are very creative. Prospect theory, the idea that people perceive gain and loss unequally, where a loss has about twice as much impact on a person as a gain of same amount. People will take unnecessary risks to avoid loss. Like why I didn't cash in all my crypto at 20k. How laughter affects people. Laughter is basically the yin to stress is yang, which inspires me to make people laugh when I can, as I don't know what they're going through. Laughter increases things like dopamine, and can even help soothe physical pain sometimes. Even smiling, lifting the corners of your mouth, alone has positive effects on you, even if you force it. Man, the human brain is a weird and ducked up thing. It's like millions of years of spaghetti code in there. Dissociative disorders. A dissociative disorder is a mental disorder that involves experiencing a disconnection and lack of continuity between thoughts, memories, surroundings, actions and identity. People with dissociative disorders escape reality in ways that are involuntary and unhealthy and cause problems with functioning in everyday life. The amount that the words we use, and think in, changes how we act. People who speak Spanish are less likely to blame someone for dropping something, because the language is the thing was dropped rather than you dropped the thing. Australian Aborigines have no words for left, right etc. Instead they use north, east, south, and west. As a result, they almost always know what direction they are facing, even inside buildings with no exterior view. Deaf children in Africa using a made-up sign language had not developed signs for describing positioning, under, over, to the right of etc., and when tested, they could not find a hidden object, even when they watched it be hidden. They couldn't tell themselves in their own minds where to look for it, and so they couldn't find it. Very interesting. The African kid thing blows my mind. It's interesting that your spoken language is also your brain's language. One of the scariest things about the book 1984 is the realization that controlling language can control thoughts. If you take away words that help people visualize things you don't want them to know, those ideas fade from possibility. Even the idea of that is terrifying. I like how the movie Arrival takes it one step further. I recommend watching with knowing as little as possible. Same director as Blade Runner 2049.